So you might be wondering, how do we navigate this? Well, I have some answers. Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, She's French, and if you're new, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new, my name is Jenna. I'm a French girl based out of California, and I make videos about curating your life French girl style. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about why I ignore sizes, and I'm kind of calling this like, it closes, but does it fit? This is something that I've had to learn myself, and it took some reflecting. Before we start, if you're not yet subscribed, I would love to invite you to subscribe. And if you'd like to check me out on Instagram, my Instagram is @shesfrench, so just like the channel. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about some mistakes that I've made that have had a huge impact on my minimalist closet. If you're new, I'm a minimalist. I love fashion, but I have a very, very tiny closet and I love it. And these mistakes definitely made a huge impact, so I don't want you guys to repeat the mistakes I made. I learned from them, and I wanted to share my new outlook with you guys. And by the way, this is like a discussion that I want to have with you guys, so I would love to know your take on this. I think that fashion in general is becoming a lot more inclusive now, which is amazing, and honestly, it's about time. But I think that sometimes we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I think we just have to kind of reframe our thinking to look at sizes in a different way. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is my latest mistake, which is the way that I went about shopping for pants after having my son. This mistake was costly because ultimately I got rid of all the pants that I got, thinking that I was getting the correct ones. I did not. So let's go back in time a little bit. So if you're new, I have a son. He is now 16 months old, and you probably know this. In society, there is a huge amount of pressure to fit back into your old clothes. It gets called bouncing back, and let me tell you, bouncing back is maybe real for some, but I think not very realistic. While I was pregnant, I gained 75 pounds. For me, it definitely took a really long time to get back to a body that was similar to what I started with, and let me tell you, it is not the same, and I don't think it ever will be. And that pressure has caused me to make some mistakes when kind of rebuilding my closet, trying to find what I was all about again. And by the way, I think this applies to everybody, not just if you've had a baby. I think that our bodies just change a lot and they fluctuate, and that's totally normal, by the way. So anyway, what I learned through my process of trying to fit back into my clothes is that something might close, but it doesn't mean that it fits. I was trying to pinpoint where I fell in the world of sizes, what my new size was after having a baby, and 16 months later, so over a year, I still don't look exactly how I used to, and realistically, it's not going to happen. So what I was doing was that I was treating my body like it was the body that I had before. And I've kind of talked to you guys about this throughout my videos as this has been happening, so you kind of watched it happen. And I came to the realization recently that basically I made a huge mistake and I did not shop correctly. And I kind of had to take myself out of the way that I was thinking about shopping because it just didn't apply, and I don't think that it should apply anyway. So I learned very fast that fitting into my original pants from before having my son was not gonna happen. That was 100% definite for sure. While it would have been nice to keep my pants, I definitely needed some new ones, and that's where I made the mistake. I started to kind of dip back into shopping for pants once my weight started to level out a little bit, and I started to look, started to try things on. I found that I went up a size, which I actually did, but that size still didn't fit me, and that's what I learned now. So basically, I bought pants that did not fit me. I found these pants that I thought were my new size and should work well, but I was putting them on and I was not feeling good in them. I was not feeling confident. So what I landed on in the end was that all of the pants that I got myself after having my son were not the right fit for me. And I actually needed to find new pants that worked for my new body again in a way that I didn't do it before. I learned that basically while the waist might fit, I might actually need to size up on the waist to make sure that my hips actually fit properly. And then if I need my waist to be a little bit tighter, then I would go in with a belt. Essentially, numbers and sizes mean absolutely nothing, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'll give you some advice on how to shop with that frame of mind, because I think it's so much more important for something to fit you properly than you being able to say that you fit into a certain size. I think that's completely ridiculous. Sizes don't even mean anything because that's just sizes relating to a brand. You can try on something from one brand that fits a certain size, and then a different brand is going to have that same size fit like something entirely different. We just can't expect our bodies, which are very unique, to fit this like cookie cutter garment size format. There is no way. It's literally impossible. I think you really have to get yourself to a place where you're in really good sync with your body and you know exactly what you're looking for in clothing, and it has nothing to do with size. It's to do with how things fall on your body. So I learned that I want things now to sit a little bit higher than I used to like it, and I want things to be a little bit looser. So that means that while something might close on my waist, that measurement is actually not very important anymore. How pants now fall on my hips is what's the most important to me. So that means grabbing sizes that are bigger than what I would normally gravitate towards. I don't know why I never put two and two together, because something that I always did with length was that I did have to find very specific shapes and so on. So I've kind of been going down that path, but for some reason I never applied it to the actual size of the garment. Since then, thankfully, I have found some new pants, and I'll be filming a little pant collection. I know that these two don't go together as a minimalist, but you know, I'm gonna show you my new pants essentially, so keep an eye out for that video. Another example that I wanted to give you that I've experienced for myself is tops. I think that we probably all have these little weird things that we have to do with sizing in order to find what works for us. So for me, I would typically be around a size small, but I've learned that because my arms are very long, which is so annoying by the way, I'm not mad at them, but it's very annoying for shopping, I have to size up a lot. So I might be a small, but what I'm actually buying is a medium or large, sometimes extra large. And that is again why ultimately size absolutely does not matter. So you might be wondering, how do we navigate this? Well, I have some answers. The best advice that I can give you for this is to literally just try things on. Don't even notice the size that you're buying. Use them kind of as a reference so that if you try something and it's a little bit too small, then you size up. If it's too big, you'll size down. But literally just use them to navigate through the brand's kind of like products, rather than saying that you're a size this. Just look for what actually fits your body and don't attach yourself too much to the size of whatever the garment may be. Keep in mind what I mentioned before, which is that you might be one size with one brand, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be that same size with another brand. Going back to the basics with this, with clothing production, you basically just can't expect a general pattern to fit everybody. And that makes a lot of sense saying it, but I think that sometimes we forget. I have some experience myself working with patterns, and I can tell you that I will have cut out something that I think is supposed to be the right size. I will then take it to a bodice. It might look a little bit different on the bodice. Then taking it from the bodice, which is by the way like a mannequin, to myself, it fits entirely different again. That's just how it is. We all have our own shape. There's always variation, and that's just what you have to account for when you're shopping. And that means coming to terms with something that might look really good on a hanger or really good on a model and then not look the same on you. But there definitely is something out there that will work for you. You just have to do a little bit of searching. In terms of runway shows and fashion standards, I think that the best way to look at those is kind of like to see them as a creative art rather than as some sort of standard that we have to match. I think that viewing it like that makes it a lot more enjoyable because you kind of take the person out of the clothing and you just take clothing for what it is, which is just pieces of fabric, clothing. Thankfully, fashion is becoming a lot more inclusive, and we're seeing that on the runway as well. So it's also a lot easier now to kind of identify with something. One of the best things that you can do when shopping is reading reviews. Hopefully you're able to find some reviews for whatever item you're looking at, and I think that's where you'll find the best help for shopping and figure out what number size or whatever size you need to order for yourself. Because like I told you earlier, there's a lot of variation. You can't expect it to work the same on everybody. So looking at reviews is really helpful. I've seen that the automated kind of style that they have you fill out now for reviews kind of asks for what your height is, what you typically wear, maybe your weight. That makes it so much easier to kind of pinpoint based on a review and what they may look like, whether or not it will work for you in a similar way. You're basically getting advice from your peers. And then armed with that knowledge, the best thing you can do is just to experiment. It might take a little bit of time for you to find the piece that you do want to add. And I would say definitely don't settle, because doing this, you'll also learn like, you know what, no, I don't like that, I'm changing that. No, I'm actually looking for something like that. And I think that's really good, and that kind of leads you in the right direction, because the last thing you want to do is you want to settle or kind of land on something that you're like, well, I guess this works, but I know it's not quite right, but I don't really know what's right or wrong about it. You want to really start to get really critical with those pieces to make sure that you're finding stuff that really does work for you. So that takes some experimenting, but I promise you there has to be something out there that will work. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the video. I hope that this was something interesting for us to talk about. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. I would love to know. I think that navigating this world of fashion is so hard at times, so I think kind of just taking a step back from it once in a while and kind of looking at it for what it really is really helpful for me anyway. This new outlook has helped me a ton. And yeah, I definitely want to avoid making costly mistakes again. If you're not yet subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe. And if you'd like to check me out on Instagram, my Instagram is @shesfrench. And with that, I will catch you in next week's video. Bye guys.